quite misleading because we are more of a professional service firm. Think about anything that you need from a professional. We employ, guess what? We employ doctors. We employ geologists. We employ different types of, because we offer different types of services. Okay? It's a very, very big firm. In the United States, I think we have over 45,000 employees. So we are quite large. I don't know all my colleagues. Somebody can bump into me and say, I work in the same company. I say, okay, I don't know. Only in Dallas, we are over 3,000. So we are quite big, okay? And we do all manner of things, all manner of services. We offer tax, advisory, assurance, different types of assurance, audit, attestation, compilation. Those are just terminologies that I don't want to bore you with. But ultimately, we are the core, we are into business. Anything that has to do with business, we are in the middle of it. Anything that has to do, the business they talked about, Glamour, we can help with that kind of business. We can help them grow, we can help them in different ways. All right, how is accounting good for you? If you're analytical, if you're quite curious about business, then accounting is for you. If you like numbers, if you like understanding how a business operates, then you can begin to understand that accounting is for you. Okay? So that's how briefly I could define it. If you like organizing, because we have to be project management oriented. You have to understand that everything is a project, everything must start and end, and there are processes involved, and you must be able to allocate all that. So that is what I would say about, that's what you know that is for you. So what do you need to study? Accounting is perhaps the easiest way to get in. But again, like I said, we employ all manner of people. We employ people who study insurance. We employ people who study finance. We employ people in tech. Okay? And I'll go into what I say, people that study tech, anything tech, we employ them as well. Because of what, like I said, we are just professional service. Anything that has to do with business, we are involved. What's the day like? So kind of things that we do. We do what everybody in corporate America would do. We attend meetings. We interact a lot with business leaders. So like my typical day, like on Monday, I already planned a meeting. I'm speaking to like the leader of a company I'm auditing. I was talking to Dr. Nee about it. Okay, Borutimi, that I have, since I joined my current company, I have audited a telecoms company. That's AT&T. Think about AT&T. I've looked at their books, so I know how their business run. I've audited a gaming company, like a company that design games. And to audit them, you have to understand their business. You have to literally ask, so what do you guys do? So how do you make money? Where do you make your money from? How do you spend your money? You have to understand A to Z of their business. Okay? So then you have to learn how to interview people, ask the right questions. You have to learn how to think about, like, what I do. I'm an assurance because my job essentially is to conclude that, see, these financials, the report of this company is not wrong by a lot of error. It can have one or two errors, but it's not a lot. It's not wrong by by a big amount. Okay, I'm trying to use your common language. I don't want to use technical language. So that's ultimately. So for me to conclude, I need to ask a series of questions, very intelligent questions. So for example, if someone told me, I'm going to make a random example. If someone told me, okay, I'm auditing an aviation company or an aviation school. So this is a school that train pilots. So I'm auditing them. So they collect money, the way they operate, just the brief that I've understood right now. I've not even interacted with the leaders, but I just spoke with the people that are on my team. So they collect money, millions of money from students. That money then is used to train them on, they have 7 certification. You have to finish the 7 certification to become a pilot. And then you have to fly thousands of hours to fully complete and be issued a certificate. So I need to understand all that because just because you collect that money does not make it is revenue. It's not just your income. Because if the students say, I'm tired of this school, I don't want to quit this school, you have to return the money. So if I ask questions and they say, you know what, once I get the money, I book it as revenue, I know that's wrong because I do ask questions. So that's what accounting is all about. Then we get information and we try to interpret the information. That look, with the rate this company is going, this company will die soon. At the rate this company is going, this company may die soon. So we ask intelligent questions, okay, to just understand business, and we advise business. Thank you. We advise business on what they can do, what they can do better, okay? So accounting is quite fun. Thank you so much. Accounting is quite fun because I get to learn about a lot of businesses. I get to sit in rooms, like for example, I've met the CFO of AT&T, someone who is very, very important even in Dallas. He's a very, very successful man, but you get to interact with him because of the nature of my job, right? He has decades of experience, way beyond me, right? But I get to interact with him. I get to go to so many places. And guess what? I also get to, because we are a knowledge-based company, I get to learn a lot. I have to do over 120 hours of learning every year. So that's like literally hours of learning. So, and once I learn, I also get to share with others. You get to train people, get to travel a lot as the nature of our job. And so it could be fun. It could be stressful because we have busy seasons whereby we need to get things done in a short amount of period. So we get to work sometimes 55 hours a week, sometimes when it's very, 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 very bad, 70 hours a week. Okay, that could be very bad. But other times, for example, I don't work during the Christmas because I take time off. Okay, while people are working, I have 2 weeks, several holidays during the year. So overall, I still do like 2,000 hours a year, over 2,000 hours a year of work. But it just gets spread. So that's accounting, and there are so many things you could do within accounting, so many things. I have colleagues that I interacted with, and they help people that make food to get certification. Because you just can't open a restaurant in America, right? You need to be certified. So we also help them to get certified. So we do all manners of things. Anything that can be done by a professional, we do it. All right, I'll pause, and I'll see if there are any questions if you want to know about accounting. And if I want to tell about that, I know this one could be a common question. What's the pay? For a first year, you are out of college. If you did well in college, you'll be out of college in about 3 years or less to study accounting. And you would join, before you leave college, you will participate in internship. We do a lot of launch and discovery internship. That means you can do internship once you're a junior in college, you could join us and see what a day is like with our company. And then the pay, once you're done, could be, I think it's fair, right? $80,000 for someone who's brand new, okay? And it can rise once you hit the partnership. It's very tough to hit the partnership. Like the next level after mine is partnership. It's very, very tough. Thousands of people are competing to go there. And from partnership, you go as high as $350 to $2.5 million. So it's very, very rewarding if you're a hard worker, and you are ready to, get there. So it could be very rewarding. And you become a master in business. You could literally stand in front of any business leader and help them do things better. Because you've seen a lot. You have diverse opinion on how other businesses run and what they can do to be efficient. We get paid, our biggest revenue is not from auditing, it's from business advisory. We advise business and we get paid a lot to advise businesses. All right, I'll pause and then take questions if there are any.
Any question?
All right.
Okay, let Uncle, I think he's in the same field as he is.
Yes.
Let him chime in as well.
Okay, yeah, so thank you, everyone. So, my colleagues here, I'm also a CPA, right? So, I know he's been focusing more on the accounting side of it. I mean, professional firm accounting way of it. So there are two sides to it. For me, I was also a senior manager in Deloitte, one of the big four. Or the top professional
biggest,
firm,
yeah.
the biggest. So I just transitioned from public accounting to normal accounting. So meaning I moved to the industry, just a couple of maybe 6 weeks, right? Yeah, 6 weeks ago. So in terms of public accounting, I think he has done justice to that, explaining what the day look like, giving you that exposure to different people that you ordinarily, so you have that kind of authority, you have that kind of exposure to meet with C-suites of various corporations. He just mentioned AT&T and the like. So if I need to mention, maybe Dangote will be in the same room. The likes of Sanofi, we've been in the same room on the same table. So all these give you kind of people that you never know that ordinarily you don't see at any particular point in time. But that gives you that kind of level of exposure. Then, of course, another question we should ask ourselves is that Neil mentioned that, okay, he interacts with the client and the likes. The client that he's interacting with, they're also an accountant, right? They're also an accountant. So the people that he's interacting with, they're also an accountant who also graduated from college, but maybe they didn't go through the route of public accounting. They just go straight to the industry, and they grow in the industry to become whatever level you want to become, right? But generally, what I will always advise people that want to go into accounting is that it's good that you start from public accounting. And the reason for that is that it gives you very high leverage. Because when it comes to promotion, within 5 years, you can make a manager, or 6 years. If you are in the industry, no, you are not sure. Even 10 years, you are not sure if you are going to make a manager, depending on opportunities that are available in the company where you work with. But if you're in public accounting and you put in all your efforts, within 5 years, you're already a manager. And lo and behold, if you try to say, okay, at this point, I need to move to the industry, you can even get a senior manager. If you're a senior manager moving to the industry, you get a director role or CFO roles or whatever. People that have been, so in 8 years, you're already ahead of somebody who has already spent 15 years in the industry. So it's always it gives you a better leverage, and again, having the name on your resume, there are some doors that actually open automatically for you. When you say, okay, you are coming from public accounting, the doors automatically open. Again, you can't take away God factor. God factor is always number one in anything you do. But there are some things that you have that ordinarily it opens doors for you. And a good example of it, if you are going to an accounting, is to start from public accounting then. And of course, as he mentioned, public accounting has a lot of diversity in terms of different professions that we usually employ, as he already mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So you have a question? Who has a question?
How long does it take for you to obtain a CPA degree?
Okay, good question. So CPA is a professional certification. One of the prerequisites is you must have certain hours of college degrees. So unlike in Nigeria, you could become equivalent of a CPA without going to college. But in the United States, you must go to college, okay? You must have college degree. The length of time is up to you, really. Like he would tell you, Neem came to US, and while he was getting his, his qualification to write the exam ready, he was already preparing and reading the materials. So he was reading the materials, and when it was all done, I think he wrote in 1 month, or yeah. Yes, four parts, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So there are 4 exams, right, that you need to write to become a CPA. You could write them back to back. I have a colleague that wrote it, she's Japanese. She wrote in 1 month, okay? Now, you have 18 months. Once you pass the first, you start being timed. You have to write it within 18 months. Start and finish within 18 months. If you don't finish within 18 months, your first paper gets expired. So you have to, start all over again. So you just make up your mind. And in Big Four, if you pass within the first year of joining, you get $5,000 just for passing. Because you are going to save them a lot of time. They lose a lot of hours because people are trying to write their CPA. So if you come in and you knock off your CPA, just get $5,000 for just writing, and then they pay all the cost of you studying. They pay for your exam, they pay for your materials, they pay for everything. And then they said they give you a gift of $5,000 bonus for just passing within 1 year. So I hope that answers your question. It's up to you.
Anybody else has any question?
More of a general curiosity, but is that a company shirt?
Yes. Yes. So we have a lot of swag. We have a lot of swag. A lot of swag.
Any other questions? Anybody else have any other question? Nobody? Okay, me, I have question. Because I am still confused. Anybody else wants to do accounting here? You want to do accounting? Oh, very good. Who else wants to do accounting? Okay, so tell me in like 2 sentences everything that an accountant does. Just what? Taxes, this, that, you know.
So if I look at service line, we have tax, we have consulting, we have advisory, we have assurance. Those are service line. If I start with just like assurance, we have what we call in our place, we call it FAS, that's financial accounting and advisory services. We have audit, we have attestation, and even when you now get to audit, we have financial services organizations, we have technology, media, and technology, media, and telecoms, which is where I belong. We have commercial, we have retail, we have different subdivisions. And even so it's very broad. So you can say, what do I do? And what I do, like when I talk about FSO, they deal with banks, insurance, asset management. Their language and my language is slightly different. In fact, when we interact, we have very 50% commonality. The rest of what we do is so different. Because think about a bank and Walmart, like Citibank and Walmart. Their financial statements are fundamentally different.
So help me. So what are financial statements?
All right.
What does it entail? And what other, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to them. What other things are there?
Yeah.
Cash flow, things like that.
Yes.
That is what I think will make sense to understand what is going on.
Okay. Yes. Let me. So financial statements are reports that a company prepares at the end of the year, or most times throughout the year, right? That reflect their performance. So as a company, you are selling, you are buying, you are keeping, you are giving out. So you have to summarize that because your report, of course, all your transactions throughout the year are millions of transactions. But investors, your owners, the people that care about you, the government, they don't have time to look at every single transaction. So they need a summary. They need to know, for example, what's your revenue? And can you summarize your revenue into different categories? Even by country. Tell me how much revenue you made within the United States, what you made outside the United States. That will be found in your financial statement. You have your expenses. Okay, how much of your expenses do you spend on just the asset you bought? You had buildings you bought 10 years ago. But those buildings are still existing. So you have to spread the cost of that building over the life of that building. We call that depreciation. So you also have advertisement. You spend money on advertisement. How much did you spend on all these categories for your things? You pay payroll. How much do you spend on payroll? That, at the end of the day, will create a summary, and at the end of the day, you have what we call net income. So the total income after all expenses that you say is available for distribution to your shareholders is like, $60 billion. Okay, so that's good. But what about your assets? What do you own and what do you owe? Okay, I have land, I have building, I have investment, I have people who are owing my company, a lot of debtors. Okay, I have goodwill because I bought company more than the value of the company, so I have goodwill. I have liabilities, I have account payables, vendors that supply my company that have not paid yet. So all that, I can know the financial health of your company by looking at your financial statement. It's a summary of all the money you've spent, you've owned, you've given out throughout the year. And there's a standard way it should be prepared. So it's also governed by, it's not just, okay, I want to prepare my financial statement the way I want to. There's something we call standards, accounting standard codification, ASCs, right? This is decided, and all accountants have to follow that same model. Every financial must have a set of rules so that the way you measure your revenue and the way I measure it, if you're in the same industry, will be understandable. Because if I think, hey, my revenue is every human being that comes, like hospitals, what's their revenue, right? The same way two hospitals should record revenue in a similar way, so that when I look at two hospitals, I can know who's doing better and who is doing worse, okay? Because if I leave it to them, they'll just record the way they prefer to record it. But there's what we call standardization in accounting. So at the end of the day, financial statement is very, very important. It's the same document that your tax authority will use to say how much tax you need to pay within a year. So, yeah, I hope that helps.
Anybody else have any question? Oh, okay. I'll let you ask your question before I go to you.
What's the range of like how much an accountant can make in a year?
All right, so I'm going to answer it from his own perspective because he made a good point. Uncle Nee said, we have public accounting and what I would call industry, for lack of a better term. Okay, so you're either working in Big Four accounting. Like I said, Big Four accounting right now, there are multiple public accounting firms. There are some that are just like mom and pop, right? They're just like, there's an owner and there are 3 employees. It's also public accounting. They are like, and it could be as big as like where I work, where we are 45,000 in the United States. We are like 300,000 in the whole world. So we are very large, okay? But so it ranges, and what you do also in accounting is what we call bookkeeper. All you just want to do is like, okay, you have a business, you don't want an accountant in-house, I will record your transactions for you. Pay me like $600 every month, and I will maintain your records. Anyone asks you for any information, just knock on my door, and I'll give you any report that they want. So that's bookkeeping. You can do that as your business. So that one, it depends on how much you work. Okay, so but I will tell you, I don't expect any accountant, all things being equal, to go home in a very bad scenario, right? Less than 50,000. If you work in Big Four accounting, as the first year is 80,000, and it continues to rise. Every single year, there's a promotion evaluation. Every single year, you get promoted. Every single year. Yes, yes. So after a bachelor's degree, and you don't have to have your CPA. You only need your CPA to become a manager, okay? And within 6 years, you are now eligible to become a manager. They expect you to complete your CPA within 6 years of joining.
I was curious from your perspective how you think AI is changing the career of accounting.
Very good question. So there's a terminology in this AI world that is called use cases. Okay, so AI, think about AI as a genie in a bottle. I think that's the best analogy I think about AI. A genie in a bottle. A genie is telling you, make a wish. If you're not creative, you'll not make a good wish. So the work that we do, there is a part of our work that is very monotonous, right? Very tough. There's also a part of our work that is heavily research-based. We do a lot of research. So AI is being adopted, like my company spent 2 years ago about 1.2 billion just on our AI platform. So right now, almost all aspects of my work is impacted by AI positively. What I told my colleagues, because people are worried about how AI will take our job is being enhanced by AI. We are now able to do something that used to be very cumbersome, but with the power of AI. So to keep it in summary, AI has enhanced the expectation for my job, and we're able to also do more with the power of AI. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
That was just amazing. Our next panelist, though, my college roommate, Osaru Alaiho, a mainframe analyst at Bank of America, where he works on mainframe operations, overseeing critical batch jobs and transactions processing that support the bank's global technology system. Osaru earned his degree in computer science with a minor in business from the University of Texas at Austin, where he served as the vice president of the Association of Black Computer Scientists. During his time there, he was awarded the Goldman Sachs ABCS Scholarship. Beyond his professional work, Osaru is passionate about technology, continuous learning, and empowering others through mentorship and leadership. Can we give a round of applause for Osaru? We're going to start it how we start all of them. A simple question. You can answer it how you want to. Where are you from? Yeah, where are you from?
Y'all can hear me. Good morning. I'm from, obviously, I'm from Nigeria. That's where I claim.
Wait, what tribe?
Edo, Benin City, to be exact. I grew up here in Dallas, North Dallas, so around like the Little Elm, Frisco area. Also living in Plano right now, post-grad.
So you went to Little Elm High School?
Yes.
Were you in any clubs in high school, any that stand out?
As far as like the STEM field, my school was like, I would say, right as I was graduating, that's when they were starting to implement more like STEM clubs. So I joined a robotics club my junior year, and then senior year, same thing.
What about outside of like STEM? Like any sports?
Outside of STEM, yeah, sports, football, basketball, track. Much of just, I like working out, being athletic, so that was just what I spent most of my time.
And then, so you went to UT Austin. They're pretty known for their computer science program, pretty rigorous. It's kind of hard to get into. What stats can you remember that got you into UT?
If I'm being honest, I didn't know how prestigious the computer science program was at the time. It wasn't until I got accepted and people were congratulating me that I was like, oh, wow. I graduated top 6%. I was, number 10 ranked in my class.
How big was your class?
I want to say about 500 or so. Yeah.
So, Saru, your work supports some of the largest financial systems in the world at Bank of America. What first sparked your interest in computer science?
Mainly just my love for technology. Just growing up, I always knew that's what I was going to get into. I tried the medicine route. It was interesting, but not that interesting to me. No, it just wasn't for me. But I would definitely say, like, computer science and understanding the kind of, like, background, like, what makes everything, like, these mics, like, the iPad, just the software behind it, it's very interesting. So,
You mentioned medicine, so I'd have to ask, wait, so do you have any siblings?
I do.
You have an older sister, right?
Yes.
And she went to what school?
Stanford.
Was she medicine?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
But having somebody like that in the household, how did that feel?
yeah,
growing up?
I mean, it was definitely like, I mean, we're only a year apart. She's older, so growing up, it was always the comparison of whatever she did, I would do. High school, whatever classes she took, I took those classes, just because, I mean, obviously your parents will tell you, like, following your older siblings, your elders. So I did that. I mean, she's always loved medicine, so I kind of just, you know, her interest, I was like, okay, let me try medicine. It was nice, but I didn't enjoy it as much, yeah.
Went to University of Texas at Austin, where you got your bachelor's degree in computer science. Tell me a little bit about what the program was like. Was it difficult?
Definitely rigorous, I would say, especially coming from high school. I would say in high school, I was someone who, I mean, was just really going through it. I didn't find it hard in any way. It was,
High school?
Yeah. And then having that reality switch coming into college was a whole different mindset, I would say, especially because my intro class, you know, I remember my college professor telling me, like, this is an intro class. We're going to go very slow, and that slow was just for like a week. And then after that, we were just running, like from the next. So, I mean, in high school, I wouldn't say I was the type to study, but college, I definitely had to develop like study habits.
Taking like AP classes or
Yeah,
credit that
yeah.
prepared you for?
I would say I was taking those credits, but obviously, like, you know, like AP history isn't going to prepare me for computer science. So, but
And internships.
right.
Yeah, being computer science, internships are pretty big. They do pay really well. That's why it's really competitive, especially like post grad. How was that process for you?
Um, my freshman year of college, just because of my background and my skills at the time, I didn't apply for an internship, but instead I took that summer to instead just get my skills to be up to that level.
How'd you do that?
So I enrolled in a course called Code Path, which was more or less, they actually paid us to teach us. Yeah, so that was, they were basically just teaching us interview prep for that summer. And then at the end of that, based on how I performed in the course, I was extended a return offer for a different company, Workday.
They're paying you?
Yeah,
How much were they paying you?
like 20. It wasn't bad. It was,
What?
bucks like an hour.
And then did you do any internships after that?
Yeah, so I was extended the full-time offer for that Workday, but I didn't want to go back there just because it was in Cali, and at the time I wanted to stay in Texas. So
Wait, so was your internship in Cali?
no, it was like remote. Yeah, that was like kind of coming off of COVID and all that. So yeah, everything was still remote at that time. But I interned at Bank of America. So that was through Afrotech, which was, if any of you know, which is like a conference for just like young black professionals to kind of network and find opportunities.
You're at Bank of America right now.
Right.
So what made you know it was a fit for you, like especially interning, things, what they have you doing?
I would definitely say going into it, like obviously like the kind of topics I learned in school versus like what I'm doing now doesn't really correlate, but in the same sense of like I'm still using my degree or like the critical thinking that I would have to do to solve my day-to-day problems. So I feel like the company culture is pretty great. I can definitely tell like Bank of America loves its employees, will treat them well. A lot of my older teammates have been working like 20, 30 plus years. So, I mean, they enjoy it, and I can definitely see like, maybe if it's not where I stay for the future, it's definitely somewhere I can see myself for a while.
Nice. What's your day-to-day like, out of curiosity? 'Cause
Um,
you're in your first year of working, right? Okay,
right.
yeah. What's your day-to-day like?
So the job itself is mainly just like monitoring. So like you said, I'm a mainframe analyst. If any of you know what a mainframe is, that's
Probably not.
very old technology. Best way I can describe it is like a mainframe is like a giant computer, like the closest thing, like as tall as me standing. It's just a giant computer. The bank, because of how national like it is, there's a data center in Richardson. That whole building is just full of mainframe computers that are all just being like security, like they're very kept cool. So what I'm doing is basically, as a bank, people are sending money every day. They're processing checks, deposits, withdrawals. All those are essentially jobs that are run on those computers. And my day-to-day is just monitoring those little systems, that those jobs run on. If there's a problem that comes up, it could literally be anything that comes up.
Damn near the first line of defense.
basically.
Before I go into more things, what did you spend your free time doing in college?
Um,
Outside of, because you already said the program was really rigorous, probably took a lot of studying time. What did you do outside to keep yourself engaged?
So I'm definitely someone who likes a routine, and a big part of that for me is working out or just hanging out with friends. I was here, Manuel, Vic, like these are my friends. Like, so as far as just spending time with them, I'm not the type who always needs to go out like that, but you know, I enjoy it.
I just have a couple questions for you before we ask the audience for some questions. So what advice would you give to a high school student who likes technology but isn't sure if they're good enough to study engineering or computer science in college?
I would definitely say to not look at it as you're not good enough, but more in the sense of like, what are you willing to, are you willing to put in work to get to that level?
It does take a lot of work.
It does. And it's not like high school. You're not a teacher who's constantly on you about your grades, making sure that you're on top of everything. When you're in college, it's essentially up to yourself, like whether or not like you're gonna continue to stay in this program, like if you want to find internships. A lot of that is like very self-led. So I definitely say it takes a lot of work ethic. Yeah.
And then somebody, I'll say, that's entering high school that is not exactly sure what they want to do yet. They have a lot of people telling them what they should do. What advice can you give them as far as like maybe picking a major?
You're saying going into high school?
Going into high school or early high school?
Yeah, so to be honest, like early high school is early high school. Like there's still so much time for you to figure out what interests you. I definitely say your parents may be telling you to go down one path, but make sure that you're somewhat interested in it or you could see yourself doing that as far as a career. It's the little things like what are you interested in? Technology is always something that people say they're interested in. But technology itself is such a wide
Such a broad sphere, yeah.
especially with AI coming up, like that could be something you could be interested in. But
Can we please clap it up for him, please? Thank you. I really appreciate it. At this time, does anybody have any questions? Samuel?
Before we ask any question, I know we just ate and we are tired. So can we stand up for like 1 minute? Let's stretch. Stand up. Come on, come on. You're tired, you're sleepy. Don't tell me, come on, I'm seeing Lala like this. Oh, some of you are snoring. So stand up, let's stretch. The lady, come on, participate. There we go, stretch. What is wrong with all of you? I mean, come on, let's go. If I catch you all sleeping again, I'm going to say something. All right, it's okay, all right. Are we good, stretch? Okay.
Hello? Hello?
All right, you can sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down.
Excuse me.
My question is like currently I do a lot of like back end like developing for like websites for like clothes stores and stuff like that.
for what?
For clothes stores, like brands and stuff. So like me doing that like during like probably like last year, like freshman year of high school, I wouldn't say like some of the classes I was taking, I wouldn't really like focus on them, and like it like gave me a like development like a GPA drop, like not that badly, but like I wasn't really at the top of my class, I was like straight in the middle. But me knowing like the knowledge and like the resources I have, the resources I use, like me going into like college, is that something I can put on my resume to get into a college? Like I probably still have like a high SAT and ACT score, but like will my GPA or rank like really determine like what college I can get into?
You're asking if like those stats and like will that
Yeah.
determine what college or whatever you get into?
Like I was trying to say like if like will your GPA like really determine like what like colleges you can get into, even though you like your experience and some of the skills, yeah.
No, I definitely wouldn't say that. I mean, nowadays it's definitely not like black and white. Like if you have a bad GPA or a good GPA, that's determining what you're getting into. I would say my GPA. I couldn't even remember my high school GPA, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll also add like, yeah, skills are always going to be the most important thing, especially if you're going to do stuff, you want to make money, employers, they want to see you have skills, but yeah, you are in high school, and maybe it doesn't matter. It low-key does matter. Like, if you got a higher GPA, higher SAT score, you're going to look more attractive at the end of the day. Like, that's just a fact. You're probably going to be more skilled than people that have a higher GPA than you, but just on paper, that's just what they're going to look at. But obviously, once you get to college, that really don't matter. You'll probably do better than them in your skill or in classes, and then also employers will also like you more because you're just good at more stuff. And just not on
GPA,
paper.
as far as like application, is just getting your foot in the door. But once you're in, that's when your skills and like that's what's really going to help you stand out.
Any more questions?
My question would be, did you do anything special in high school that allowed you to like handle the rigor of the computer course at UT? And what's that specifically got you into UT in the first place? Like, did you do any like extracurriculars? Did you code something? Like, what did your resume in high school look like?
Good. Honestly, in high school, I had no coding experience. Like, as far as like what might have looked good on my application would more be like the leadership that I held within high school. So I was vice president, a lot of clubs. I was also in leadership, National Honor Society, on my teams like football, basketball, track. I was also leadership on those. Really just like in high school, there's only so much you can do. So I would say take the most that you can put on a resume, like getting into those clubs, those leadership, show that you have some sort of initiative to, want to stand out.
I mean, the college admission process is supposed to be holistic, but I feel like things are getting a little bit more competitive now. So maybe, like, especially if you're trying to do computer science, they may be expecting you to know a little more and stuff like that. But you can do projects on your own, figuring out what you like. But mostly, it's like it's a holistic process. So I wouldn't be too worried about it before you get there, but just research about the thing you're going into, and maybe things you can do now to prepare. Any more questions?
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you are like leadership within your high schools, but like a lot of times there's stuff that you'll have to be doing like after hours, like preparing for like meetings or like making notes in addition to your schoolwork. So I'll definitely say um, now is the time to instill those like time management, working on that. There were definitely some late nights that I had, but I mean, when you look at it, there's always time that you can.
Bro, you had a lot of late nights, bro. You had a lot. It was not some. It was a lot.
I try not to, but I mean, there's only so much you can really do during the day.
Do we have any more questions? Software engineering.
CodePath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but the way the application was basically they give you like yeah.
Technical assessment.
Yeah, technical interview. In addition to like me giving my resume, obviously at the time I didn't have an internship, so what I did instead was talked about the projects I had worked on. A lot of those were also with my class. So the projects I worked on, in my classes, my freshman year, I put those on my resume. 'Cause that's just, if I worked on them, I might as well put them on there because it shows like the technology that I'm planning on doing, I've already had some experience in. So, yes, in addition to the technologies that I used on those projects.
They are not just learning things in, things randomly that doesn't really add up, becoming meaningful. For example, you go ahead.
No. Yeah, so I would definitely say, like, obviously AI is like what's big. Like, that's what everyone is going into right now. That's why companies are trying to hire like those who are already well versed in the topic of AI and those technologies that are used. I would say, like, technology, like I said before, is so vast that there's so many areas of it. Obviously, not all of it can be replaced by AI, and even the AI itself, there has to be someone who's maintaining that AI. So there's always going to be a need for people who can actually code in order to maintain those systems. I can relate back to the mainframe right now. A lot of governments, banks, they use a mainframe instead of like a cloud just because of security issues. But some of those are like technology that's never going to be replaced by AI just because of how sensitive it is. Those are people's like bank statements, their information, social security number. That's not something that they want to open up to a cloud network or even like AI as far as like training it on that. So there's always going to be need for, I can say for sure, like mainframe engineers. There may be certain areas where they start to add in AI just for our like monitoring, like our day-to-day, but there's always going to be a need for someone who can code, who can get into those systems. So I would say if you're trying to figure out like what specific area of technology you want to go to, definitely there's always resources, videos you can watch based on your interests, like what's good, quote unquote good in the market right now as far as like trends, like what kind of like jobs are going to be needed in the future. That's the best way to find that research.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we please clap for him? We got another question actually over here.
Maybe a quick question I know people will be interested in how much, maybe you can just give us like a range in terms of the salary compensation. How does it look like for a fresh graduate from college?
So just like any job, really, salary is very dependent on where you are. So being in Texas, same as New York, San Francisco, but I would say in Texas, is like 90 to, depending on the company as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like entry level, depending on the company, probably high 90s, low 100s, and then the room for growth is really just anywhere up 200, 300, depending on what you do. We got another question over here.
My question is, how do you know like which niche of technology? There's web designing, there's cybersecurity, there's all that. So yeah, how do you know which specific one you want to do?
So in college, actually, I was like, I know you say you work in like back end. I actually didn't prefer back end. I prefer front end. So I like UI, UX design. So obviously that's not what I'm doing now. But like, as far as like someone who I like to say, like, I'm a creative person. So just seeing that front end, like, and being able to design, I like that aspect. So I always knew like I wanted to be in like a front facing sort of technology. But even like back end, like there's a lot of people who are very like, data and like analyzing that. So that's why a lot of like back-end engineers they're very good at math. Like it's just finding whatever interests you.
Yeah, it's really gonna depend on you. Like, yeah, UX is probably more creative, back-end probably a little bit more analytical. People that maybe don't want to talk to people as much, maybe more quiet. So yeah, it really depends on you.
Yeah. Like, if anyone like really like for coding languages, I would say like me like learning early on, like at like 12, 13, I usually like used to watch videos, and like I started like my first language was Lua, and I started doing commissions.
And you were playing Roblox, huh?
Yeah, I started doing commissions for Roblox and stuff like that, and like that's what like really got my mind into thinking, oh, I want to do this when I grow up. Like Lua is just like if you really want to like if you really want to like start coding, you you can probably do that, and you can make some money on the side for it, because it's like probably one of the easiest languages. Most people say Python, but it's not really like friendly, I guess, like beginner friendly like that. But I would say Lua, and for me, when I'm doing backend stuff, I use Java, and I wanted to start getting to front end, but like they say, back end's more like harder or annoying, tedious, stuff like that. But I would say most other languages like Ruby, CS, C++, mostly for like game developing and stuff like that, HTML, web design. Yeah, it just depends on what niche you're going into.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Do we have any last questions? No?
But so when I was in UT Dallas, it was during my set that they started this bachelor's degree for gaming, because it sounded ridiculous to me back then. So my question is, because I know I was talking to other young ones and they said they actually play games and they make money. So tell me what your experience, do you have any experience, or if, I know you two are part of, you're part of software engineering too. So either of you, do you have any knowledge to add to that in terms of somebody that wants to explore gaming as a career? What do you think about that? Do you think you will first of all give the go-ahead to a green light to major in gaming? I won't, by the way. But that's me. But what do you think about that?
Well, for starters, that's I didn't even know that you could get a bachelor's degree in that now. But when I was younger, I actually wanted to be working and designing video games. I remember telling my mom that, and she was like, "Oh yeah, like rubbish, like get that out of my face." Like, just because, like, you know, obviously I'm a kid. I played video games when I was growing up, so like that was like something. I mean, I thought I didn't know that was even in the realm of like making games. I actually took a video game design class my senior year at college, and so that was like me understanding how those games are made. As far as playing the games for a major or bachelor's degree,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty, because it's obviously it's a sector, so majoring in like game development, I feel like you're probably niching yourself a little bit too much. Like I feel like computer science, engineering is a little bit more broad, so you can be more flexible, or what's it called, versatile, or yeah, just have more stuff in your bag as far as like, oh, I can go into game development if I want to. I can go into back-end development. I think if you like game development, just do it on the side. Yes, you can make money. Like Roblox is worth like, I don't even know how many billions of dollars, making money off of kids. Like mobile apps, games are making a lot of money. So it's a pretty lucrative field for sure. But I feel like computer science, engineering, a little bit more broad. Probably your future prospects is probably a little better.
Oh, gaming is under all this then?
Yes, it's under the umbrella.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? I mean, I know some of you want to do computer engineering here. Computer engineering, software engineering, any type of engineering, right? Other than
raise your hand if you want to.
Currently doing data analytics in school, right? So I'm kind of biased, right, towards data analytics. You get it. I feel maybe there are better courses you can do. Like you said, I would rather you go for computer science, right, where they will expose you to some degree of data science, data analytics and whatnot, as against doing data analytics as a major. You know what I mean? Or data science. So what's your view on, folks saying, oh, I will do data analytics or data science, or why would I do computer science instead of computer engineering? Like, what's the value proposition for, those four in particular? Computer engineering, computer science, data analytics, data science.
I mean, as far as what I've learned, as far as like the degree is a degree. Like, you're gonna learn specific information, but I mean, I'm computer science, he's computer engineering. We basically have the same opportunities available to us as far as like jobs or projects that we could work on. He's probably more technical than I am just because of that engineering aspect. But I mean, when you apply to a job, they're not necessarily looking for a degree in something, but more of, yeah, your skill set. Like, what have you done? What can you do?
Yeah, and I
Thank
feel
you.
like, again, it's like more your natural inclination. So computer engineering, probably a lot more math. Computer science, more theory. So depending on what you like, pick that one. I would probably say EduSafe with computer science, engineering courses, because you'll be able to take data analytics courses at your university if you have those majors. And you'll probably be a little bit more talented in those majors.
If you ever decide you want to shift your like focus, if you have like a degree as broad as computer science, it's not a hard switch as far as like your credentials.
Thank you. Can we please clap for him?
All right, thank you.
So,
Oh, okay, so this is the last one, right? This is the last presenter? Okay, awesome.
so our next panelist, Emmanuel Ogu, a second-year medical student at UT Southwestern Medical School here in Dallas. Originally from Houston, Texas, Emmanuel developed a love for science and problem solving at a young age, which sparked his curiosity and led him to pursue a career in medicine. Along the way, he has worked as a medical assistant, conducted research on health disparities and surgical outcomes, and mentors students who are interested in healthcare careers. Emmanuel is passionate about his journey to show others, especially students from underrepresented backgrounds, that they belong in medicine too. Can we all clap for Emmanuel, please? First of all, I really appreciate you coming. I know you were at a previous engagement before this, so thank you for giving us a bit of your time. So yeah, we're gonna start this how we start all of them. Where are you from, Emmanuel?
So I'm Nigerian also, but I would say I'm from Houston, Texas. I grew up in Southwest Houston. Moved out into the suburbs, Richmond, Texas, when I was about middle school. Yeah, I went to school. Well, I actually wasn't born in Texas. I was actually born in North Carolina, but I don't claim there. There's no reason to. Yeah, I went to UT Austin. These are all my friends here. We started college together. It's not mentioned in my bio, but I majored in nutritional sciences. And yeah.
Nice, amazing. Yeah, let's start with high school. What was high school like? Were you involved? What were your stats like? Things like that.
Yeah, so in high school, I mean, I definitely was, I was a straight A student. I did very well in my classes.
What made you want to be a straight A student? Is like,
you know, I was always someone that was just motivated.
just
Like,
had that dog in you.
I just, like, I just wanted to be the best, like, honestly.
That's real.
And it's funny sometimes looking back, because I haven't taken any, like, you know, like history or, you know, like English or any classes like that. That's not really my area of interest, but when you're in grade school, like, you have to be the best at every topic. Like, it's not, I want to be a computer scientist, or I want to work in computer science, so I'm only going to focus in, like, my science classes or my computer science class. Like, you have to be well-rounded. You have to be good at everything. And when I was in school, I mean, what motivated me, I mean, honestly, I was motivated by the grades on those test exams. Like, that was it. Like, when I got my sheet back, I wanted to be the highest scorer possible because I knew I was capable of doing that, and that's just kind of how I was raised. Like, my parents had a heavy focus on education growing up, like I'm sure we all do. And it's just, you have to understand that education, like, is a privilege for one, and for two, it's literally the foundation for anything you want to do. If you want to work in medicine, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to work in computer science, whatever you want to do, like, there's a very strong correlation with how hard you are trying in your classes in grade school and success in the future. Because people who care about their grades and care about putting the effort in school will do the same in other areas of their life. That's just the truth of it.
That's facts. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, like, did you know you wanted to go to UT? What stats got you into UT? Were you considering other schools?
I didn't really start thinking about college too much until it was time to apply. I was somebody who, like, earlier in high school, like, obviously I knew I wanted to go to college, but, I'm like, oh, I'll go to, like, I don't know, Stanford or something, or Duke. And it's not until you, like, look at the tuition numbers that you're like, you know what, maybe I'll just stay in Texas.
Facts.
So around when I started applying, I decided I was going to stay in Texas to go to UT. And I was top 6%, so I knew I had automatic admission there. I was top 10 in my class as well. So I knew it was the option, and honestly, as far as universities go, like, I think UT was the best option for me at the time. And for stats, my GPA was pretty good. Like I said, I was top 10. I don't remember the exact numbers. Like, it doesn't matter now, but my SAT score was okay. Like, I don't really remember what it was either, but I just remember that I wanted to go to UT. By the time I was done applying, I knew I wanted to go to UT, and I knew I had the stats to get in. So that's really the only thing I was worried about, to be honest.
Nice. Out of curiosity, what first inspired you to want to be a doctor? Or that's you're trying to be a doctor, okay?
So, growing up, also similar to what Osir was saying, I was someone that always loved technology. Like, technology was really my first love, honestly. Like, growing up, I was always like, in fact, my parents would call me engineer all the time because anything that was broken in the house, it doesn't matter if I was 12 years old, my dad would call me, come fix this. And I didn't know how to fix it, but I would figure it out. And I started to realize that, like, what I really loved about it was just, like, the problem-solving aspect of it. Like, I love, like, looking at something that was broken, figuring out what the issue is, and, like, how can I fix it? Or where can I look to learn how to fix it? So that's kind of like my first love. So growing up, I was involved in, like, robotics and technology and all that stuff. I took engineering classes up until, like, my junior year of high school. I fully thought I was going to do engineering. And I just kind of realized that, like, it didn't really have, like, the personal interaction aspect that I wanted. Like, I still love engineering. It's an amazing field. But I wanted to do something where I could make, like, a more tangible impact on people day to day. So, and I always loved science growing up, so I started to look at other science careers. And I'm fortunate enough to have two sisters that were already on the medicine path. So they were, my parents were very happy when I told them I wanted to do medicine. Not to say they didn't support me. Any interest I wanted to do, my parents would have supported me. But when I told them I wanted to do medicine, they were like, okay, your sisters are right there. Like, they really set me on the path to basically jumpstart me there and, like, tell me everything I needed to know. So it wasn't until around the time I was applying for college that I actually realized I wanted to do medicine. It was kind of late in comparison to, like, my siblings, I guess, but I just knew that, like, I wanted to use science in a way to help people, and medicine was kind of the logical next step for me, so I explored it.
But medicine can be pretty intimidating. So, like, what challenges did you face on your journey? And how did you overcome them?
One of the first challenges I had was actually deciding to do medicine because, as a kid, like, they'll tell you, okay, you got 4 years of undergrad, or 4 years of high school, 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school. So that kind of, like, at first was kind of like I was kind of hesitant to actually do that. In fact, I started thinking about doing dentistry first because I didn't have 4 years of residency with dentistry. But then I kind of realized, like, honestly, if there's something you want to do, like, you shouldn't let any obstacles stand in your way, truly. Medicine is very time consuming to study. Like, the years are long. I'm not even, like, a third of the way there, technically. It can be very intimidating, but you kind of just have to know yourself, like, know what you're capable of doing. I was somebody who, growing up, I was good at school. Like, I knew how to do school. So if you tell me I have to do 8 more years of school, I'm gonna do school. I've been doing school my whole life. If it means I can get to where I want to be at the end of the day, I'm gonna do it.
Do you have any mentors?
I absolutely did have mentors. Like I already mentioned, my older two sisters were my first mentors. Like, having an older sibling that, like, can put you on the right path is such a blessing. Like, it truly is. And if you're the first, the oldest sibling in your family, like, just think about, like, the impact that you have on your little siblings, and just try to find ways to be there for them because you're really the number one mentor that they have. I also had professors in undergrad that were mentors for me. I worked in the admissions office at UT, and the director of admissions, who I worked in her office, was a great mentor to me. She had helped a lot of pre-med students as well. And he mentioned also that I worked as a medical assistant I worked for a pelvic surgeon, and I worked in his clinic for 2 years. He was a great mentor for me, wrote me a letter of recommendation to get into med school, and he's actually an alumni of the medical school I go to right now, which is crazy. Yeah.
Clearly passionate about representation in medicine. Why do you think it's important for students from all backgrounds to see themselves in the field?
Representation it's extremely important because I'll just give one example. Black women have the highest mortality rate in childbirth. I don't know if that's something you guys have heard of, but basically, for all the women that go to give birth at a hospital, black women are more likely to pass away. And, you have to ask the question why. What leads to that? And, I mean, logically, when you look at the percentages of providers, and there's also been studies on this, places that have fewer black providers at these hospitals have higher mortality rates for these women. So there's a correlation there. And, I can't really dig in the weeds. I'm not saying that necessarily a white person is going to, deliberately take less care of a black woman, but systemically, that's what we see. And there are also stats that have showed that when you are taking care of a provider that looks like you, when you go to your family med doctor for your yearly physical, and he's someone that looks like you, looks like your parents, like you're gonna follow their advice more, you're gonna have a closer connection with them, and they're gonna feel closer to you. And that's not to say that somebody who is not the same race as you cannot be a good doctor to you. That's not what I'm saying. But it's important that people of all races can not only go to providers that look like them and that understand where they're coming from, because there's a lot of cultural, idiosyncrasies that come with that as well. Like someone who's never taken care of someone who's Nigerian would not understand the reason why they're hesitant to do certain things, or why they would prefer to do certain treatments, or why they would, it's just things that like you wouldn't understand unless you're around them. Yeah. And the U.S. is becoming more and more diverse, and there are more and more kids who are trying to go into these fields, and it's important that they see people that look like them.
And for students who may be worried about like the length and the difficulty that of medical school or like adjacent careers, do you have any encouragement for them?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I think about every day. Like, I'm a second-year student in med school right now. I have 2 years of med school left, and then 4 years of residency after that before I'm a full physician. So, I mean, it's a lot. But I will say this, like, there is absolutely nothing worth doing in life that is not going to take a lot of time and hard work. And it's like even, obviously I have friends that have graduated with me, working full-time jobs, making good money. And, sometimes it's like, dang, like I'm still in school. Like, this kind of sucks, But you have to think about it. Like, most people graduate and they work in a field. They're not trying to stay in that entry-level field forever. They're also working to get to a career that they're happy in, working to progress in their fields, become leadership, whatever it is. And if you look at where, like, by the time I become a full-fledged physician, my friends are not going to be in the same places they are right now. They're progressing. I'm progressing in my own way while they're doing that. So it's like, it's just a different path. Honestly,
you can't compare yourself.
You can't compare yourself to other people, like truly. The only thing, I mean, I will say medicine has its, it has its downsides in that, like, the years in training is very long, it's very rigorous. But at the end of it, you will become like a highly trained professional. You will be able to save lives. You'll be able to be that person that when somebody has a health issue, they have faith in you because they know you put in the time and effort to become a professional. And I think that's the case with any career. You have to put the years in to be a professional.
Thank you for that. And just lastly, before we take some questions from the crowd, what are some steps high school students can take right now if they're interested in medicine or healthcare or any adjacent?
I would say you have to like science. You have to do well in your science classes. That's really, I mean, that's honestly, at your stage, is probably the most important thing because, I mean, just looking back at like high school, like I took AP biology my junior year, and just thinking about that class, like it was very difficult, but I mean, it's like times 10,000. By the time you graduate college, the type of science you're learning in first year of medical school, like It's not even comparable. So if you're, struggling in science or you don't really care about science that much and you want to be a doctor, I would say definitely you have to be able to understand that stuff deeply, because the stuff you're learning in science class right now, it is so foundational for the knowledge that you have to build on, to be a medical student and to gain that medical knowledge. Do well in your classes. Doing well in your courses is, like I said, it's like probably the number one indicator of how well you can do in the medical profession, because it's a profession that is built on exams. Like, even when you become a physician, you'll be surprised to hear that you have to take annual board exams every year, which is just the exams never stop. Like, you have to like taking exams, or even if you don't like them, practice enough to where you're good at taking exams, because it's a lot of testing.
And then, quickly. I remember you were really involved in a lot of orgs when you were an undergrad, and you're also doing really well in school. So how did you even find that balance between like being able to do all of those things at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of just, having a strong work ethic and just being able to like prioritize your time appropriately. I had a great time in college. I had a lot of fun. Some people will tell you that pre-meds can't have fun. That's not true. Like, it's a matter of prioritizing your time. Like, I had time to spend with my friends. I had time to spend on my student orgs. I had time to do well in my classes. You kind of just have to set your priorities straight and be able to time manage yourself, because it's not something you learn in high school. Like, every second of your day is regimented. You first period through seventh period, they're telling you exactly where you're going to be. Once you get to college, you're in charge of making your own schedule, filling in that own schedule with things that you need to do, and it's a skill you have to learn like kind of quickly if you want to succeed. And I was involved in a lot of things, and I think just time management is probably the biggest thing.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Can we please clap for Emmanuel? That was great. Do we have any questions in the crowd? We got one right here.
So I know you talked about how being a pre-med or medical student, you have to like science. So I'm someone, it's not that I don't like science. I don't love it, but I respect it for what it is. So if I'm a person like that, but I have interest in more literary things, like maybe history or something like that, do you think I can still find a good balance between the two, like pursuing interest while sticking to something that really matters?
I mean, absolutely. When I say you need to like science, that's a great question, by the way. When I say you need to like science to be a doctor, what I mean is you need to be willing to spend hours and hours learning it. Like, you need to be willing to do that. Not to say that someone who's studying medicine cannot have other interests. You absolutely should follow those interests. I have classmates right now who are like authors on the side while being med students, But I also think it's important to say this as well. Just because you like a subject in school doesn't necessarily mean you need to like major in that and make a career out of it, Just like you said you like literary stuff, like it's not that someone should point at you and say, okay, go be an author. You can still be a doctor if you want to be a doctor. It's just, it's still like, you just have to be willing to, there's a lot of science. Let me sum it up. It's a lot of science you have to learn to be a doctor. So it's like, you just have to be willing to sit and learn it.
Thank you.
So I'm going on the medical path, but like I'm a senior in high school now. Okay, so I focused on like, in my applications, I focused on like direct programs, BSMDs. So because you did the normal route where you did undergrad and then applied to med school, what would you say? Route is better or like the regular route?
I can't really say that any route is better than another, but BSMD programs, I'll admit I'm not super familiar with. I don't know anyone personally that has done one of those, but I'm assuming it's like guaranteed admission after you get into, okay. I would say something like that is great. Is it JAMP that you're talking about? Or, okay. Yeah, like programs like that, and JAMP is another one. Those are great programs. I actually do have friends that are in JAMP currently right now. So,
what is JAMP?
JAMP is Joint Admissions Medical Program, I think is what it stands for, but it's another BSMD program, and they give you like mentorship and stuff and give you acceptance to med school. I mean, it's getting more and more competitive to do anything these days, I would say. So if you can get like a guaranteed admission with your BS into a med school, I think that sounds like an amazing program. But obviously traditional route is I mean, there's challenges either way, you know, but I think that sounds like a great program.
How did you know that you were interested in the medical industry?
Was your question, how did I know that I wanted to do medicine? Was that the question? Okay. Kind of like I mentioned, I always had a love for like science, problem solving, and I mean, that's really what medicine is about. Like, it's like taking like what knowledge do we know now, and how do we use this knowledge to fix problems with the human body? I think medicine and engineering are they're one and the same in that sense. So it's like, I mean, when I originally applied to college, like I wanted to do dentistry just because like I like working with my hands a lot too, and I thought it would be kind of a similar path with that. But I think the reason I chose medicine specifically is because I just like the idea of being like an expert at something, like just being that person like, hey, doc, I'm sick, can you figure out what's wrong with me? And that's what really attracts me to medicine, is just, you know, having all that knowledge and that training that you can solve a problem with somebody, something that's causing them like severe pain and suffering. They can go to you and you're like, I know what this is, and you can heal them. And that's something I really love about medicine. And I think that's something you can find in few other fields where you are helping people in that same way and having that same impact on people directly.
Anybody else? No more question? Oh, okay.
What science classes did you take in high school?
I mean, I think I took like all of them. Like obviously you have like your science, like your regular science classes, and I think it's up until actually like sophomore year, I think I did chemistry, I did AP biology, I did AP physics, I did AP environmental sciences too. I did not do AP chemistry. I don't like chemistry, honestly, so I didn't want to do it. But I did pretty much, other than AP chemistry, I think I took every other science class that my school offered, which I think I've named all of them now.
Did you take like any AP classes or no?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh boy, okay, I think I know what is going on here.
Yes, to answer that question, I did.
So I'm an early college student, so I'm taking dual credit classes, and like by the time I graduate, I'll get my associate's degree. And the school that I go to, like you can switch to get an associate's of science. Like by the time you graduate, you want to get an associate's of science. But like most of the time, they kind of make you graduate with an associate's of arts. But I want to go into the medical field. So do you think it matters that much that I'm getting an associate's of arts rather than science?
You plan on getting a bachelor's degree after that?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Honestly, my bachelor's degree is a Bachelor of Science and Arts. There are students who can get a Bachelor of Arts. I mean, I have classmates in medical school that are music majors, that are finance majors. And those are all BAs as far as I know. It doesn't matter.
Is the question Bachelor of Arts? Yeah, you can get it to medical school.
Yeah,
Here's another Bachelor's of Arts.
I'll address this common misconception right here. While like you can get into medical school with any degree. You don't have to major in biology. You don't have to major in chemistry. Any degree.
Go ahead.
How do you make your money when you're so occupied with school?
One more time.
How do you make your money when you're so occupied with school?
How do I make my money? Was that the question? Oh. Well.
I mean, he said it already, right?
No, that's actually a great question. The short answer is I don't. The longer answer is most students while in medical school cannot work. Number one, you don't have time to work. That's the truth of it. Now, how do I feed myself? The answer is student loans. And for 90% of students, the answer is student loans. But also, there are some opportunities to make money. Like, literally right before I came here, the reason I came late was because I work as a tutor for my med school. So I tutor anatomy, and that's one way students can make some money. But I mean, that's like maybe 2 hours a week. It's not enough to put food on the table or pay tuition. But, you know, just to have some pocket change. Medical school and law school is the same way. You have to take out loans to afford it. Most students by the end of medical school will probably be $200,000 to $300,000 in debt. But I'll also add this: doctors pay off their loans. Like, your salary at the end of medical school is high enough to where banks don't worry about taking out student loans for med school because they know doctors will pay it back. You can be looking at upwards of, I mean, in Texas, depending on your specialty, $300,000 to $800,000 a year in salary. You can pay that off in a few years after graduating pretty easily.
Any other question?
But like, you're still in med school, but like, did you have to like give up like a lot of your hobbies, like maintain your academics and stuff?
I'll say that no week or month in med school has been exactly the same. There's like varying levels of like times where I'm busy and I can't do certain things, and times where I have like lots of free time. And the truth is, I have had to give up some hobbies. But the ones that I really care about, like working out, staying active in the gym, hanging out with my friends, I still do. I mean, I play a little like less video games than I did in college and high school, I guess. But there's even new hobbies that I'm finding. So you have time to do all the things you love, basically. Like I was saying earlier, it's about time management. It's not saying like, oh, you get into med school, no more video games, no more going to the gym, no more hanging out. You have time for whatever you have time for. Like, you can make time for it if you care about it. You can have a life, basically.
Any other question? Okay, all right.
Wow, thank you.
Oh, no, you're not off the hook. We have questions.
Sorry, almost done. I have a comment and a question. So just want to allude to what you said about the need for black doctors. In the past, there's a lot of African Americans, or let's just people of color, that they didn't have a choice but to go to the doctors that were available. But I'm finding it now, even on Facebook, you will see some groups that all they're needing is black doctors of any specialty. So just want to encourage you guys, for those that want to go to medical field, of course, you're going to go out there, get your experience, but think about having your own practice as well, because there's a need for black doctors out there. So my question is, you're currently at UT Southwestern for your medical school, right? What are the chances of getting into that medical program, especially for people of color?
Well, I'll start by giving my personal experience there. I can't provide exact numbers or percentages, but I will say getting to medical school is extremely competitive, and it is getting more competitive each year. Now, the downside of that is that obviously it's harder to get in. The upside of that is that with that information, you can start to prepare yourself. If you know something you want to do, just like they were talking about with computer science, you can start early, start volunteering, get leadership early to place yourself at the best position. The other thing I will say is, a few years ago, some people might have argued that it's easier for black students to get into med school because all you have to do is be black. There's not enough black students there. So if you were a high-performing student and you were black, they would snatch you up. Those times are over. Those times are over, unfortunately. The anti-DEI policies and things that are being implemented, it's getting harder for black students to get into. People back then would look at you and say you're an affirmative action admit, you're a DEI admit. And now, if you're you're probably like the only black student in your class. The class above me in my med school had like, I want to say like maybe 15 black students. The class above that had probably like 20 something. The class that just entered right now, the first years, I think there's like maybe 8. There's only 1 black male in the entire class. And you know, I don't say this to discourage anyone. The reason I say this is because you have to understand that there are people and there are systems out there that are trying to discourage you from entering medicine. That is their goal. And if you look at, you know, the demographics of these schools and say, there's no black kids here, I don't want to go there, you're letting them win, basically. So if medicine is something you want to do, put the work in, put the effort in, and if you're one of 5 black people in your class, let it be so. Just know that you're making a difference, and you're making it easier for the people that come after you to do the same thing.
Thank you for that. And just to expand on that too, I think what he's saying is this. It is difficult for blacks to even get in to begin with. So it's not because you are black, they just snatch you up like that. You understand what I'm getting at? But because of the DEI rules that are in place, the school, by law, have to put you in there if you meet those criteria, correct? Now, if you disagree.
Well, it's kind of a complicated topic because, like I said, depending on who you ask, if you ask someone who's, you know, maybe their Asian son didn't get into med school, they will look at the 10 black people in their class and blame them. Say like, those people stole my son's spot. That's not the case. You have to meet the qualifications regardless. But there was a time in the past where, you know, these institutions cared about their demographics. They wanted to create diverse classes. So if they had 2 students of equal caliber, not to say there was necessarily a preference, but diversity was a priority. What I'm saying is now that political climate has changed, that priority does not exist. So do not bank on you just being black being enough to get into any program. That's never really been the case, but a lot of people thought that. You just have to focus on being the best applicant that you can be. And just know the cards are stacked against you. The cards have always been stacked against people that look like us. That is the truth. It has never been a time where being black was just enough. Being black and a mediocre applicant was enough to get into med school. Never existed. So I don't know if I caused confusion, but let me just clear that up.
Thank you for saying that. That's what I was getting at. So now, what are the challenges that you went through? Well, actually, you're still in medical, so you're still good. So let's go back to UT. You said you're top 6%, right?
In high school.
In high school to get to UT.
Yes.
So how did you put yourself in that role? How were you able to place yourself there? What did you do to be able to place yourself in the top 6%? Because that automatically guaranteed you to UT Austin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, can you talk about that?
And I might be wrong, but I think they decreased the threshold now. I think it's like top 5.
It's top 5% now?
I think they decreased it, so I think it's top 5, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, things are getting difficult. I will say that, but what's always going to be true, regardless of whatever percentage cutoff they're administering, what's always going to be true is that the people that care and put the effort into their courses will succeed. And like I said, there's positive correlation with how well you tried, how motivated you are to succeed in high school, and how motivated you are to succeed in your career after school. Because honestly, looking back at high school, like compared to the stuff that we do now, like as graduates, like it was honestly kind of easy. Like, again, like they're telling you where you need to be every hour of the day. All you have to do is be there and turn in your assignments. And some people can't do that. So it's like when it's time to graduate and you have to pay your own rent, take care of your family, maybe you have friends that are struggling, you have kids, and you can't manage your time. If you can't succeed and prioritize your education in grade school, it's just gonna be so much more difficult for you. So I think what really helped me get there was just honestly staying motivated, understanding that every single assignment counts. Like you can't slack off in school. It's honestly, there's no reason to slack off. Like grade school is not hard. I understand like like looking back, I put myself in your shoes. Like definitely there are classes where it's like, oh my God, I've never learned this before. I've never had to study like this before. And you just have to adapt. Like when you get to college, you have to learn how to study. You'll have to adapt. So just learn those habits now. Be a good student. Learn how to study. Don't get in trouble at school. It's really the simple things, honestly.
So when you say learn how to study,
Do you
do
think
you
we
have
can?
any?
We think we could say some of the questions for the panel?
When is the? Okay, we can do that. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that was incredible. Can we all please clap for you, man? That was.
I mean.
Yeah, we will have an opportunity to ask a lot more questions. But I think we could go straight into the panel. So y'all can actually come right back up here. Brother, Uncle Nee, you can also come in here. All right, well, I guess we can begin. Dr. Nee, do you want to start with the question that you had?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, the reason why we are bombarding you, not to take away from any other person, is because we have majority, I would say 60, 70%. Yeah, 70% of everyone here wants to be medical doctors. So that's why we were bombarding you with questions. That was why I said you're not off the hook. Yeah, so, and all of you can actually answer this question, because there are ways to study. I mean, you can cram a book, or you can, learn to, understand it. So tell me in your approach, especially you two, the younger ones, how did you do that? Do you understand what I'm getting at? I'm saying, Brian, how did you do that? Because you two were able to get to UT Austin, right? And UT Austin is a big deal out of all the UT systems, right? So how did you do that in terms of studying things like that? Because it will help them as well.
Okay. Are you saying like studying within college or just in general? Okay.
Well, actually within high school.
Okay, high school. Okay, yeah.
High school to get to college.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, high school was so long ago for me. Now I'm thinking, not that long, but yeah. My uncle, I trust.
Bro, you uncle.
No, I'm joking. But I would say like, as far as I can remember my schedule, like as soon as, obviously like during the school day, that's school. Obviously I'm going to class. After class, I would have my practices, whatever sports season that's in. And then as soon as I would come home, that's when I knew that was the time for me to just do my work so I can just be done with it. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get all your work done in a night. I wouldn't suggest to try and just get all your work done in one single night, especially if it's not due. I mean, try and pace yourself. Like, there's no need to overload or cram, especially right before exams. A lot of you now, maybe your high school test, you've done well on it because you've been able to just cram the night before. But in college, truthfully, that's not going to work. That is not going to cut out like that, especially because in college, like, the learning for the topic, material for exams is a lot more. It's very accelerated. Like, your professor isn't waiting for you to understand it before he moves on to the next.
And if you get 1 week behind, yeah, you're finished.
So how far out do you have to begin studying for, like, let's say you have a genetics exam, like in 2 months, how far out do you begin to study?
Well, I just remember growing up, like, my dad would always tell me, like, you need to be reading ahead of your professor and books. And, that can definitely work. I think what's more important, though, is being prepared. So, like, come to lectures prepared. Like, and I know this is mostly college stuff, but, like, you need to be prepared to learn. So, in high school, the pace is definitely much slower. Like, I'm trying to see how to phrase this. I would say just be, like a lot of students go to class and they're just like going through the motions. Like I need to be here, so I'm just gonna sit through this class, tap my feet, and wait for it to be over. But you have to be actively learning. That's the thing. Once you get to college, like professors do not wait for you. They don't wait for you. Like they're gonna get through their lecture. They have like 1 hour. They're flying through their lecture. If you missed it, you missed it. If you're lucky, they upload the slides after, but they don't always do that. So I think starting now in high school, like learning how to actively be present in class, when your teacher's explaining something, ask good questions, relevant questions that help your understanding. Don't just let him talk and talk and talk, and then when you get the assignment, you're like, bro, what is this? You know? Like you have to be prepared to learn when you enter class and prepared to complete your assignments. Like that's really it. Because college it's a different beast.
So do you read before class even if the material is new, or do you just wait to class and then just?
It's class dependent, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, some, like, especially in high school, I can remember there were definitely some classes where my teachers would tell us, like, oh, guys, read this chapter. We're going to briefly go over it. Or I want you to have some sort of understanding before we go deeper into it. So it really depends on the class, like, whatever subject it is. I mean, like, a math class, you're probably going to want to learn alongside, but maybe, like, in English class, she'll ask you to read a chapter ahead before. Like, it's really dependent on the topic.
There's always going to be a place for, knowing what's coming. I think that's kind of, that saying is kind of a remnant of the old days where students will have textbooks, so they're going home with your textbook. On today's class, you're on chapter 30, but you might open and read chapter 31, 32 while you're at home. It doesn't really work that way anymore for most classes, but there's always going to be a place for being ahead and understanding what's coming next. If you're learning addition today in class, maybe you learned about division or multiplication a little bit, so you know what's coming. But I would say focus more on actively learning what your professor or teacher is trying to teach you. I think you'll get more benefit from it that way versus maybe spending time that you should spend, learning what you're learning today and doing other things. It really depends on the class, honestly. There are classes where you have to read ahead and classes where it doesn't really matter all that much.
This might be an old school method. Two things I would say that worked for me is having a reading partner and simulating being a teacher. That worked for me. I probably look at a text, and I have a reading partner who's also very, very smart. So we challenge each other, almost like a mini bet, right? Ask me a question, I'm going to get an answer, and you test me. And then when you simulate to be a teacher, right? Or when you do back in the days, stronger student will coach weaker student. I offer to do that sometimes for selfish interest, right? Because every time I get to teach somebody else, it solidifies the knowledge in me.
I think that's amazing. Honestly, teaching something is the best way to learn something. And that's something I've always also done through my education. Like I mentioned, I was working as a tutor earlier before I came here, and teaching the anatomy to the first year students, I automatically understand it 10 times better than when I learned it the first time. So any subject, always have a partner to study with. You guys quiz each other. Like you said, simulate being the teacher. You understand, because if you can teach something, that means you actually understand it versus just reading a book.
Does anyone have any other question? Okay.
So, taking APs, we've all established, is very important because it helps and stuff. But let's say you take an AP class. It's not exactly aligning with your future career, but you do it anyway just for the experience. And it's difficult, and you regret it, but you still do it, and you pass. Do you think colleges care more about, how well you did generally in the class, or, you were able to go through this, you survived, and that's a building experience? So, what's more important?
I mean, just at a very high level understanding, a B in an AP class is not the same as a B in a regular class. It's showing that you're at least taking the initiative to be in a more advanced, accelerated course. obviously, like, it depends on what specialty or whatever program degree you want to go study, but an AP class is always going to show that you have that sort of understanding of, like a higher level of a course. Like, it can only help you, really. I mean, I took AP history. I don't care about history, but, like, I mean, it still shows that, like, I did well in that class, so, you know, it translates to other, especially the study habits that you pick up in an AP class. I mean, I'm sure some of you, if you've taken an AP class, you've probably somewhat had to study more, and that can only help you as far as instilling the aspect of, okay, like, I'm learning more now, I need to adjust. Like, that same plan I had for a regular class may not be the same that I have for an AP class. So
I 100% agree with that. I think a lot of the benefit for taking AP classes is not necessarily like, hey, college, like, I want to major in biology. Look how I did in AP biology. To be honest, they don't really care. They don't really care what classes you took. They care that you did well in the classes that you did take. That's really what matters. Like, I also took AP US history as well in high school. And I mean, I don't care about history either, but, like, I mean, I did well in it, and that's what they're going to see. So I think don't worry too much. I know a lot of students, you know, even if you know what you want to do now, that doesn't mean that, like, I'm only going to do well in my science classes because I want to be a doctor. English, social studies, all that doesn't matter. Everything matters. They're looking at all of it.
The only addition to that is I'm looking at it from the perspective of a recruiting manager, hiring manager. That, for me, says a lot about you. If you think about the real world, you will not always like the assignment you're tasked with. The CEOs, the leaders always have to do what no one else wants to do. And if I can figure that out from either from your resume, from talking to you, that you can get things done, even when you're not really inclined towards doing it, that says a volume about you. So you must acknowledge that in your resume one way or the other. When you go for interviews, for internship, speak about that, how you're able to overcome something difficult you're not inclined to, it's not your strength, but you did it anyway. So that says a lot about you. Grit is more important, they will tell you, than even IQ.
Fantastic.
Anybody else? Okay, so you went to, you're still in medical school, so why did you do nutrition? So that, I mean, again, because the old concept is, and I mean, I get it, I want you to let them know. Why nutrition? Is it because GPA, you can easily, or why did you not do like biochemistry or biophysics or whatever? But for you, why nutrition? And what are your thoughts to the younger ones as to, I mean, you got to kind of play a game too, GPA versus things like that. So can you, expand on that?
I will say, yeah, choosing a major for college, assuming you're a pre-med student, I feel like for most other paths, it's a little bit more straightforward. But like I say, you can major in anything and apply to medical school, absolutely. So I would say, number one, major something you're actually interested in. A lot of students will choose biology, they'll choose chemistry because they think that's what med schools want to see. It's actually kind of the opposite. Majoring in something uncommon, you stand out more. Like, I have classmates who majored in finance and music, and I promise you that piqued the admissions committee's, interest a little bit more than a bio major, because there's like 80% of them that are bio. That's number one. Number two is, it depends on your institution, right? So I went to UT, and, I thought about majoring in biochem because I was interested in biochemistry, but the way biochemistry is at UT, there's a lot of lab-based classes. That major is kind of pushing you in a lab. That's kind of what it is. And then not every school is like that, so I didn't want to major in that either. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I actually came into UT as a biology major, and I switched to nutrition. And part of the reason was, like, I didn't really know that you could major in anything before I got there. You guys have the benefit of knowing that now, but I didn't know that when I started college, that I could major in anything and go to med school. So I came in as a biology major because I thought, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. So when I found that I could major in anything, I'm like, okay, let me go see what I'm actually interested in. So I did some shopping around, and I came across nutrition. And looking at the degree plan, you know, I was someone who cared a lot about personal fitness, working out, you know, healthy lifestyle. So it kind of piqued my interest a lot, and I decided to major in it. And also had the added benefit of, you know, it didn't have a lot of those like really intense upper level science classes that the bio and chem majors did, especially chemistry. Nutrition was, and the upper levels, honestly, it was a bit of an easier choice as well, because the courses were not as difficult. So it was something I was interested in, it was something different, and it was something that in the long term, like, you know, had some benefit to me. So that's why I ended up choosing nutrition.
Thank you for that. Now, does anyone have any other question? Any other question? Okay, just last question. Can you walk us through the rigors of medical school right now? How many classes are you taking? How many hours a day do you have to study?
Again, no 2 weeks, no 2 months are the same in medical school. It ultimately depends. I'm trying to explain this.
Hold on, what system are you on? Are you on a semester system?
Yeah, we're on the GI system right now.
Okay.
So the way most medical schools organize their classes is you have what's called a pre-clerkship or preclinical phase, and you have a clerkship phase. So about half of medical school is sitting in a classroom just like in college and learning. That's the phase I'm in right now. The other half of it is you actually go to the hospital and you work. I do air quotes because they don't pay you to work, but you work in the hospital and you learn on the job how to be a doctor. So most medical schools will start you off with basic science. So you'll take your like cell biology, you'll take your biochemistry, anatomy, pharmacology, all that stuff you'll typically take like your first few months of school. And then you'll move on to your organ systems. So they'll divide the body into different organ systems like you guys learned in grade school, like circulatory system with your blood vessels and your heart. You have your respiratory system with your lungs, nervous system. They'll divide that stuff and you'll have a block. And each one at my school is about a month long. So currently we're on the GI system, which is like your stomach, intestines, all that stuff. So up until the end of, or the start of September, I think, is when we have our final. So that's kind of how it's sectioned off.
So it's a block system, right?
Yes.
So you have to do one system first and then you move. I figured that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Every schools are different though.
Yeah, I know, because I was asking you, are you on the semester system? Because then you're taking 4 classes at the end of the semester, then okay, that's fine. That answers my question. Now, go ahead.
Okay.
I have a question for the two. You guys have jobs, and I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy what you do? Like, how much do you enjoy your work, or you just have to do it because you want to get money and stuff like that?
Okay, I could go first, but I'm sure his own answer will be more fun. I've done my job for a while. There are aspects of it that I enjoy. There are aspects I wish I don't have to do. By inclination, I like solving problems. I like the fact that I am confronted with problems every day, and I can think through problems that no one will ever ask me. So I love that part. And I could research, I could collaborate, and I could see the results of just my suggestions, how that translates into financial gain to my clients. So I love that part of my job. There's some part of my job that I don't like. I do a lot of writing. By nature of my professional service, you need to support your conclusion, your opinion. So I do an enormous amount of reading and writing. So that part, and that's the good part that AI is trying to help us summarize. Right now, many of my meetings, I have AI assistants that help me summarize the meetings, that tells me my action item, and I can use that to plug in. So they're part of my job. But I love the fact that I travel, I get to learn new industries, I get to interact with people, I get to solve problems.
I guess just from like me being like entry, like a young, fresh point of view, I can say that like what I like about my job is the flexibility. So I actually work 4 days a week. I work Sunday to Wednesday. And you might think, oh, Sunday, you work Sunday, like you're not in church. I do go to church. So, and I mean, don't tell my job about this, but I bring my laptop to work. I work in the media department. So because it's a bank, obviously like the weekends are more like slower. So as far as like me monitoring, there's not as much work that comes in on Sunday, which allows me in the mornings to go to church and be fully attentive to that. And then after church, that's when I can log back in and, you know, even the rest of the Sunday is pretty slow. But my hours are from 7:30, I know, early, but I mean, some of you probably wake up for school that early, so you never know. And so it's 7:30 and then 6:30, which is long, but it's mainly just, I mean, out of those 4 days, I have to go in the office 3 of those days. That's just a swipe of me swiping in my badge in, and then I'm allowed to go back home and work from home. So I really like that hybrid working. I mean, grace of God, I've been able to move out of my parents' house, so I mean, I'm living by myself.
Praise God.
Indeed. So yeah, I just like more of like the flexibility and the work-life balance has always been big to me. Like I have many like interests that I'm interested in as far as like outside of work, outside of school, academics. So I like that this job has given me enough time to put time into those and just traveling, like as you said, like I'm someone who, as far as traveling, has just been to Nigeria. But this past July, I just turned 23. I was able to go to Cancun. Like that's just something I've always wanted to do as far as like traveling. Like now I'm able to, you know, provide. Like my job is able to do that for me. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Can we please just clap for them? Very insightful. Really appreciate all of you for coming and the insight that you shared for all of us. I believe we have some gifts to give to you guys as a token of our appreciation.
Married.
He said young man. I'm joking. As far as I'm concerned, I currently am dating someone right now. My girlfriend is in my medical school. We met at medical school, and we're in the same class. So, I mean, I don't know what dating advice I could give to a high school student, honestly, or below, but I would say just, I don't know, stay away from the opposite gender. I guess that's what your parents will tell you, but just be very careful. You know, don't let people who don't deserve it take your time from you, and don't invest time into people that don't deserve it. And honestly, dating is not a priority at your stage, honestly. It's just not. That's why, I know that's what they... My dad told me, like, since I was in high school, even in college, like, just stay away from girls. That's what he told me. You know, I can't say I actually did that, but I will say just be very responsible. You guys have very bright futures. You guys definitely have parents that care about you and are, you know, positive influences on your life. Invest in someone that you would be happy bringing home to your parents.
Great answer.
And with Emmanuel, I also have a girlfriend who happens to work at my company as well as a software engineer. So I have someone who knows my situation and everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah, as far as dating advice, much of what he said, especially at your ages, that's not the focus. Like, I mean, I don't know about y'all. I didn't even have the option to be having, not even an option to me. But yeah, I would definitely say, like, realistically, like, as long as you are, like, this is the time where you need to be focused. And a relationship is not going to develop into anything that you could see. Like, you know, like, focus on your studies, academics. Like, later on, it'll come. Like, don't worry. Like, it'll come naturally. Like, none of us, we weren't.
You don't have to force it.
we,
Very
like,
naturally.
At med school, she came. My work, it came
Yeah, focus on your futures at this point. I mean, I know people that I went to high school with, like, they had their boyfriends or girlfriends, God forbid, things can happen. And, there are people at my school that got pregnant in high school. Like, that is absolutely not something that should be happening. I mean, this is a given. You guys know this already. But the point is, don't let somebody ruin your life. And don't think that any relationship struggles or arguments or breakups is going to define you or is going to impact your future. At this stage, it does not matter. Do not let that interfere with your academics and your future.
Yes, do not mess around because you will find out.
Well,
You will find out.
exactly.
I'm going to add something real quick. So this is the pattern that I've seen being a teacher in the youth ministry for several years now. A lot of times, people that you see around you, you're close to them. You're in close proximity with them. You feel like, okay, we can start dating now. But I've noticed that yes, you start that dating experience, right? But then when you not get to college, you see other people, you explore. So look at what they just said. He met his girlfriend in medical school. He met his girlfriend where he works right now. So you're still going to see all these people, when you get out there. So it's better to just take your time and focus on what you need to focus on right now. And like they said, it's going to come naturally. So that should have answered a lot of your questions when you start asking us, why can't I date? Where is it in the Bible that I should not date in high school? It might not be in the Bible, but they're giving you the life experience coming from them. At least not coming from us now. It's coming from, those that are a little bit older than you guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.